and welcome back to our blind read-through of Saya no Uta, the Song of Saya. I just had a piece of the most amazing pumpkin cheesecake. Let me tell you, I'm feeling real good right now, and I'm ready for us to jump right into a conflict. Ideal versus ideal, reality versus reality, the hunter versus the hunted. Although we don't know which is which in that last one. So, yeah. But let's not delay any further. Let us scooch on down here and then make the video game do the video game type thing. Come on, video game, I believe in you. Yeah, there we go. All right. So, let's just go. Let's just go. I'm excited. What do you got in store for me, video game? I'm ready. Koji has nothing to do but wait. He has spent almost half a day in the dark, empty study, breathing stale air choked with mold as he strains his ears for the slightest hint of movement below. Few people could endure such a vigil, but Koji has accomplished it without complaint. If anything, the suffering is welcome, for it keeps his nerves honed to a razor's edge. Without a doubt, his single-minded focus is the only thing allowing him to push the limits of his stamina. Koji understands this and embraces the pain. His closest friend has shattered his world like glass, and now Koji feels only hate towards the madness that has replaced it and towards himself for allowing it to happen. Self-loathing is a more reliable source of willpower than faith or resolve, no matter how noble. Yeah, self-loathing is one of my personal fuels, so yeah, I can agree with that. When he arrived at the Ogai house, Koji snuck inside carefully, hoping to perhaps take his enemy by surprise. It was only after he got inside that he realized the house was still abandoned. Even so, Koji was sure that Fuminori would arrive earlier than promised in order to set up an ambush. However, the light streaming through the windows turned red and faded to darkness with no sign of anyone coming. Koji's patience has grown weaker and weaker by the moment, and now the appointed time has arrived. Just as Koji's frustration is about to peak, his phone begins to vibrate and flash. It's from Fuminori. He's calling rather than showing up himself. Rage threatens to overwhelm him for an instant, but Koji manages to keep his voice calm as he answers. Gotta keep your game face on. You cannot let him know that you are fearing for your balls right now, friend. Oh, really? You think our boy is that smart? You think he's gonna pull that one off? そろそろ本当の待ち合わせ場所を教えておかなくちゃと思ってさ。間に合ったかい？ふざけた真似を。まあ怒るなよ。当然の用心だろ。Fuminori laughs with unrestrained malevolence, as though to emphasize that he's seen through Koji's plans. 大貝教授の家まで来てるんなら、そこからほんの少し先、歩いて行ける距離の場所だよ。まずは車に戻ってカーナビを見ろ。ドクロ番長教えてやるから。今度こそ信用できるっていう保証は。疑わしければ来なくていい。尻尾を巻いて逃げるがいいさ。Fuminori hangs up immediately after speaking his challenge. Koji leaps out of his chair and kicks it across the room, unable to find any other outlet for his rage. Yeah, he's playing you like a fiddle at this point, dude. You've got to keep it together. If you want even a half of a fucking shot at getting out of this, like, you need to hold it together. You need to not let this mind game shit play with you. He has no choice but to do what Fuminori says. His stamina is already exhausted. Only his obsession is keeping him going. If he allows himself even a moment's rest, he fears that he'll never again find the strength to face this madness. Tonight is the only chance to kill Fuminori. Koji knows, of course, that his enemy is planning to ambush him. Fuminori isn't going to fight fair, but then neither is Koji. With the unsteady stride of a man half asleep, Koji leaves the Ogai house and heads for his accord. Only the base of those foothills has been developed for housing. The address Fuminori gave Koji is outside of that area, in the thick forest that still covers the mountain's face. His car's GPS shows a road that leads nowhere, but according to Fuminori, there should be an old abandoned sanatorium there. It's definitely a place that no one can find, not even by accident. Maybe this next stop really will be the last. Koji drives up the steep incline, soon leaving the residential neighborhood behind. Even though the hands of progress are right at his doorstep, the undeveloped forest is darker than he expected. This looks like a great place to live in secret, or to kill someone and hide the body. Places like this, lost and forgotten, aren't found only in deep jungles and hidden valleys. Holes in the world are everywhere, even in the midst of civilization. A broken down gatepost suddenly appears in the Accord's headlights, like a ghost rising from the darkness. It looks like this is the final stop. Koji rolls up to the gate and turns off the engine, giving himself the silence of the forest. His phone starts ringing almost immediately. He doesn't need to check who it's from. Very courteous of you. Fuminori is nearby, close enough to hear the sound of the engine. A shiver of excitement shoots up Koji's spine. Fuminori hangs up without another word. After grabbing his new flashlight from the glove compartment and checking that his revolver is still in his pocket, Koji opens the door and gets out of the car. Now we just gotta hope that Koji can keep it together, because he is going to see Go in the unfortunate state that she is in, and I think that that's obviously Fuminori's game plan. Is he's gonna be like, he's gonna play the mental game. It's like, hey, here's the last remnant of that normal life that you really liked having. Check it out. Mountains of trash litter the front yard, forming a serviceable barricade. Koji sees everything from small refrigerators and mopeds to huge chunks of concrete and plaster that have been abandoned by construction workers. The fact that they could get away with leaving all this stuff behind shows just how remote this place is. The moon is brighter than usual, allowing Koji to walk through the front yard without tripping on debris. Staying alert, he heads for the building beyond the mountains of trash. Something must be buried underneath the piles of garbage, because the whole yard is filled with a sharp stench of chemicals. Even the homeless probably wouldn't come to this place. If you need to get out in the wind and the rain, there are plenty of shelters more suitable. How many times now has he stood like this, alone in some ominously silent place far removed from his everyday life? Sneaking into a deathly quiet houses to find traces of unimaginable happenings has become as normal as going to class. Really, this soon? Really, it's only been a couple times, my guy. This is not something that you should already have been adapted to. This is something that should still be highly unsettling still. The houses that he explored before were like freshly shed cicada shells, empty and dilapidated, but with traces of the life that they had sheltered. This place, however, is different. A perfect ruin, its walls and pillars rising from the dark forest like an army of ghosts with no sign at all that people once lived and worked here. The structure resembles a skeleton more than a shell. Time and the elements have stripped it of its former shape, and now there is only death. Koji has gone as far as he can. This must be the final step. What will Fuminori's next move be? He must be planning to kill Koji, but how? Just as he's about to turn on his flashlight, Koji reconsiders. If he wanders around with the light on, he'll be broadcasting his exact location. That'll give the advantage to Fuminori, who's probably lying in wait for him right now. He holds the light before him in his left hand, his finger poised on the switch. In his right hand, he raises the revolver, keeping it pointed in the same direction. Now ready to fire when he turns on the light, Koji steps quietly into the dark ruin. It takes a while for his eyes to adjust, but even when they do, he has only moonlight streaming through empty windows to guide him. Everything appears gray and indistinct. However, Fuminori has to deal with the same conditions if he's hiding here. This is a battle of nerves, exhausting and deadly, where the first to make a sound and give away his position will lose. The rooms on both sides of the hallway are all open. Some are even missing their doors. Koji creeps to each door entrance, checks to make sure no one is inside, then carefully proceeds on. The stink that he noticed in the garden has changed. Now it smells more organic, like rotting meat. It's the exact same smell that filled Fuminori's house. Squish. Koji freezes and stares down the hall. It was a wet sound that he heard just now, like someone dragging their feet through the swamp, and it came from the room at the end of the hall. Something is there. Something alive. Koji creeps toward the sound, his light and gun at the ready. It's gross. Gross! Now it sounds like someone squeezing mud through their fingers, and as he gets closer, Koji begins to hear breathing. Could it be Fuminori? Now that's impossible. He should be waiting for a chance to ambush Koji, not making careless noise. If he proceeds, the strange sound coming through the cracks in the concrete walls grows clearer. Oh, here we go! Here we go! Before he knows it, he is standing on the threshold. The room is filled with a thick, viscous darkness, just like every other room that he's passed. There is more than just darkness, however. Something is there. He can hear pained breathing, that of a wounded animal, and what sounds like sobbing. Sobbing?
誰だ?
Who's there? Koji whispers into the darkness. Now that he's given away his position, he might as well turn on his light. For some reason, however, Koji feels that to do so would have disastrous consequences. Sobbing. The last time I heard her voice on the phone, she was sobbing. The wheezing suddenly stops, and then a whisper comes out of the darkness, though not a human voice, not by any measure. It speaks some blasphemous semblance of human words. A nightmarish flash of insight connects the dots in Koji's mind. Oh, it can't be. Yo doesn't sound like this. She doesn't smell like this. Yeah, it's probably for the best. Unfortunately, it's probably for the best. But if it's not Yo, then how does it come to know his name? Why is it begging him for help? No, it can't be Yo. She's human, not some creature that slithers and hides in the shadows. You gotta do it, son. The thing wriggles closer. His reason cries out, imploring him to switch the light on before it's too late, or to turn and run if he cannot. But Koji is unable to make either choice. He can only call out in vain to the amorphous shape in the darkness.
筑波なのか? Naoi. まさか筑波なのか?
しなさい。もうお願い。殺して。
Something soft and slimy slides over Koji's toes. Instinct overrides his will, forcing him to turn on his light and shine it at his feet. The white beam reveals everything, the merciless truth that finally shatters Koji's sanity. Terror wipes his mind of all but two words, gun and trigger. His finger responds with an instant obedience. There is a burst of tremendous light and sound, both more intense than he expected. And then the destructive forces are swallowed up by the darkness. His ears are still ringing from the bang, but he hears a weak voice coming from the shadows. Koji screams and pulls the trigger again and again, believing that salvation can only come from the barrel of his gun. Light and darkness, explosion and silence. They dance their dance 3 more times. Koji doesn't even need to aim. The horrible creature is right at his feet, far too close to miss. Ryoko warned him how many bullets were left in the revolver, but that information has already been driven from his mind. Even after the cold, heavy gloom wraps itself around him once more, Koji keeps pulling the trigger like a man possessed, paying no heed to the clicking of the empty weapon. His panic-stricken legs suddenly gave out, sending him down hard on his backside. God, it's not dead yet! This is some horrible Resident Evil abomination! It's just a fucking HP tank, and it's gonna take all your ammo! I don't even think he brought any herbs. Even then, he keeps firing the empty gun. He knows no other way to erase the memory of that thing that he glimpsed in the beam of his flashlight. The light, which fell from his hand during the attack, is now pointing in a completely different direction. And though all 4 bullets must have hit their target, they were Koji's last card to play. Well, the gun is now out of the equation, and I get a feeling that, intentional or not, like this was, like that was part of the plan, to get him to waste some kind of opportunity that he had. I mean, I'm pretty sure Fuminori did not know he had a gun. But he knew that he would probably waste some kind of resource trying to kill the HP sponge enemy. Which leaves him alone in the darkness with no way to defend himself. And just as he realizes this, a mass of rotting flesh rolls onto him like a tidal wave. He can no longer even scream as the thing pushes him onto his back. With fear seizing his throat in an iron grip, Koji struggles desperately against the monster as it crawls up his body towards his face. Covering his face with his left hand, he scrabbles wildly along the floor with his right, searching for a way out of what doesn't exist. His mind is that of a feral animal, empty of everything but primal terror. And that is why, when his right hand closes around something hard at the last moment, he recognizes it instinctively as a weapon. Putting every ounce of strength into his arm, Koji swings the heavy object at the creature on top of him. He hears the thud of a blunt object striking something soft and wet, and then Koji's attacker rolls off him. As soon as he is able to move freely, Koji leaps to his feet, grabs his new weapon with both hands, brandishing it like a charm to ward off evil. Only now does he realize that he's holding a rusty steel pipe. The monster is still sobbing. With a cry that is part terrified scream, part enraged roar, Koji raises the steel pipe and brings it crashing down on the cowering creature. He hears a wet sound and feels a blood-chilling sensation of its thick, soft flesh absorbing the blow. These combine to evoke an instinctive loathing that wipes his mind of all but the urge to destroy. Consumed by the same desperation with which he kept firing the empty gun, Koji rains blow after blow down on his enemy. After the 10th blow, it stops sobbing. After the 20th blow, it stops moving. And after the 30th blow, it begins to feel and sound more and more like he's beating a puddle of viscous liquid. Koji doesn't stop thrashing the creature until he recovers enough of his senses to realize that whatever it might have been before, it is now nothing but a lifeless corpse. The pipe in his hand, covered with unidentifiable fluids and filth, suddenly feels unbearably heavy. 20 years of memories in the light of the sun. If they were indeed precious to him, then he should never have come to this place. The black flames of despair rise within him, consuming fear and revulsion and pity. Only rage and hate remain. Every cell in his body cries out for vengeance, for blood of the man who poisoned him with truth and tore him from the womb of innocence. And then Koji, slave to hate, hears the sound of someone sneaking up behind him. Koji whirls, swinging his steel pipe with all the force he can muster. His enemy hastily leaps back to avoid the strike, surprised by his failure to catch Koji off guard. Twisted shadows dance in the beam of light on the floor. Readying his pipe for the next blow, Koji faces off against his second attacker.
さか文則
Let's go! Before this moment, Koji could not have imagined that he would speak this friend's name with such hatred.
おいおい、今の一振り、まるっきり手加減抜きかよ。
He's already succumbed to the madness, dude. Like, taunting him is gonna do no good. Even now, Fuminori is smiling, as though the huge axe in his hands is just a sick
参っ
joke.
たな。正直なところ、お前はもう少し迷うもんだと思ってたんだけど。
迷うだと俺が貴様に
Koji sneers too, unable to contain his contempt for the notion.
貴様近江をどうした筑波に一体何をしたそれを考えてもまだ俺が貴様を殺すのに迷うだと
そいつは言いがかりのつけ方が逆だろ、コージ。
That's my line, Koji, Fuminori growls, looking sadly at the pile of dead flesh at Koji's feet.
コージの分際で僕の世をひどい目に遭わせやがって。
How could you do such a horrible thing to Yo? You'll taste 10 times her pain before I kill you. Yeah! Look at this go! This is awesome. Oh, we got jams? Yeah! Let's go! Oh, let this roll. Let it roll. Oh, yeah. Yes! Fuck yeah, this is a jam, baby! The blade on Fuminori's axe carves a murderous arc through the darkness, glittering menacingly in the faint light coming from the door. Koji raises his pipe to block the ferocious swing. The heavy impact numbs his arms, but his large frame takes the blow without giving any ground. Fuminori presses the attack, delivering a second blow and a third. His axe, designed for chopping down trees, is deadlier and more durable than the piece of pipe Koji found discarded on the floor. Each strike Koji blocks sends chunks of rust flying from his makeshift weapon. He can't win as long as he's on the defensive. He needs to create an opportunity to attack.
Come on!
Koji blocks a crushing downward swing, then pushes back hard before Fuminori can pull away, throwing him off balance. Fuminori stumbles backwards and plants his feet to steady himself. Taking advantage of his opponent's temporary immobility, Koji delivers a punishing low kick to Fuminori's outer thigh. Fuminori grunts and retreats, swinging his axe wildly to prevent Koji from following up with another attack. Koji, however, does not press his advantage. He just stands where he is, calmly spearing Fuminori with his stare.
お前喧嘩に慣れてねえな
Fuminori roars and comes in for another attack, but the damage to his right leg seems to be slowing the swing. Easily blocking the axe with his pipe, Koji waits for Fuminori to exhaust himself. Fuminori delivers blow after heavy blow, howling savagely all the while. What he does not realize, however, is that the situation now favors composure, not brute force. When Fuminori raises his axe high for yet another attack, Koji sees that his movements have grown dull enough. Seizing the opportunity, Koji charges into Fuminori's range and grabs the haft of the axe with his left hand. As Fuminori recoils in fear, Koji brings his pipe crashing into his enemy's unprotected side. He feels the crunch of ribs breaking. The pain drives Fuminori to his knees. Staring down at Fuminori's defenseless head, Koji, surprised by his own lack of emotion, raises his pipe high to deliver the finishing blow. Which is when something wrapped itself around his left ankle. Ah! Yep, it's a tag team, baby! We knew this was coming! The instant Koji panics at the unexpected sensation, something soft yet strong winds itself around his right leg and drags him to the floor before he can resist. He twists his body and tries to swing the steel pipe at the unseen enemy behind him, but his right hand, too, is seized by the same flexible force. He wasn't able to feel it through his pants, but now his blood turns to ice at the cold, slimy sensation the thing wrapped around his uncovered wrist. The monster's still alive?
Saya.
That's it, Saya, Fuminori says encouragingly. Even while kneeling on the floor, his face twisted in pain, he manages a terrible, victorious grin. Saya. The monster is Saya. Koji struggles desperately to free himself from the creature's slimy grip, but more tentacles swarm over his body, rendering him helpless. The horror has already driven Koji half mad. Just imagining the creature's appearance is enough to send him into a mindless panic. His scream is suddenly cut off as a slimy appendage seizes his throat. This most deadly tentacle isn't just cutting off his windpipe, it's trying to snap his neck, and it's getting tighter. Oh no! My mind hazy from the pain, I watch as Saya feasts upon her slain prey. Oh God! Okay. God damn. Saya is just the I win button. She just came in and put... God! Fuminori is fucking useless by himself. My mind hazy from the pain, I watch as Saya feasts upon her slain prey. We've won. It was hard, and I wasn't able to do it alone, but together, we have defeated our enemy. The price was steep. At least 2 of my ribs are broken, sending a sharp pain shooting through my chest every time I breathe. And then there's Yo. I didn't expect her to fall to Koji so easily. I suppose that, unlike Saya, she might have been unfamiliar with how to use her new body in combat. I don't think she wanted, she didn't want to kill him anyway. Her whole point was yo, just kill me. I don't know why you put her out. You put her out there thinking she was gonna fight? She's literally basically all brain dead at this point. There's no way she was gonna be able to do anything in a fight. My injury must have fueled Saya's anger. Her slaughter of Koji was merciless and complete. As far as her prey stopped moving, as soon as her prey stopped moving, she sank her teeth into his vital organs and ruthlessly extinguished the last embers of life. Though her brutal, grisly actions were unbecoming of her girlish appearance, Saya's face, covered in blood and gore, was that of a victorious queen of beasts lording over her defeated foe. There was something noble and sacred about her primal ferocity that made me reluctant to disturb her. I don't know how long I've been sitting here watching Saya feast. I've nearly fainted from the pain several times. To be honest, I'm not used to violence. The wounds I suffered in the car accident were worse, of course, but these broken ribs are the most severe injury that's ever been deliberately inflicted upon me. You'd think that Saya could show a little more concern for my condition. Koji's already dead as can be, so there's no reason for her to be so greedy. I suddenly realized that Saya has stopped eating, and now she's lying on her back, rolling from side to side. Has she eaten too much? It's been several days since we've had fresh unfrozen meat, so I understand where her enthusiasm is coming from, but still, I'm wounded here. She could give me a hand. Because I'm preoccupied with my own selfish wants, I'm slow to realize that something is wrong. Saya isn't resting. She's trembling. In agony. My blood goes cold and the pain from my broken ribs is suddenly forgotten.
Saya!
What happened? I jump up, run to her side, and cradle her fallen body in my arms. Her face is pale and drenched in sweat, and her half-closed eyelids and lips are shivering like she has a fever. What's going on? Was she wounded in the fight? Could the meat she just ate have been poisoned somehow? I don't understand. All I know is that something terrible is happening.
Saya! Saya!
What happened? I don't understand. The only thing I can do is call her name with all of my strength. Saya slowly opens her eyes and gazes vacantly into my face.
みのり、ごめん。大丈夫。大丈夫だよ。ただちょっと 痛いだけ。
Oh, a little tummy ache.
何なんだどうしたんだサヤしっかりしろ
There's no way she's fine. It's glaringly obvious that her condition is dire. Even so, I'm the only one who's panicking. Saya's expression is serene, as though she understands everything that is happening to her. She even smiles softly up at me.
びっくりしちゃった。まさか本当にこんなに早く。
Is it the time? Are we gonna, like, propagate the world? I might lose Saya. The thought is unbearable. Terror and despair are quickly overwhelming me. A feeling of utter helplessness that I cannot resist.
怖がらないで。昼間言ったよね。
Your first and last duty?
印。みのりと私のたった一つの希望。
どういうことだよわけわかんないよサヤしっかりしてくれよ
Saya answers my tearful entreaty with a smile that is that of a mother comforting her child.
さやはね、頑張るって決めたの。だってふみのりはさやのこと可愛いって綺麗だってそう言ってくれたから。
やめようよサヤ
Whatever's happening, I can't just sit by and watch as it causes Saya such agony.
もういい無茶しないでくれ何をするつもりか知らないがサヤが苦しむ姿なんて見たくない
ひどいな。ふみのり、分かってよ。
Don't be like that, Fuminori, she chides me. Please understand. In a soft voice, she reveals her secret.
生まれるんだよ。
Oh, God!
ふみのりの
Oh, here it
子供た
goes!
ちが。
For a moment, my mind goes completely blank.
そんないつの間に
私もね、びっくり。ねえ、ふみのり。
Saya's labored breathing speaks to the terrible pain her tiny body is suffering. Even so, she wraps her arms lightly around my neck.
外に連れてって。広いところ。
Let's spread this madness to the world! This girl is like a fucking... This girl is a fucking nuclear bomb of Cthulhu mythos about ready to happen on the entire world. I nod. What else can I do? If I speak, I'm afraid that I'll be unable to hold back my tears. I mustn't cry. Not when Saya is facing her torment so bravely. It feels like Saya is burning up in my arms, and I fear that the terrible convulsions that shoot through her at intervals will tear her frail body to pieces. Praying for her safety, I scoop Saya up and carry her swiftly out of the ruined building. Maybe the cold night air will soothe her fever, but that hope is futile. Cruelly dashed as her breathing grows shallow and she moans through bluish lips.
そうだよ
In response to my call, she opens her eyes once more. Her gaze is cloudy and unfocused. She can no longer see. Nevertheless, Saya looks at me. I can tell that she is imagining my expression where my face should be.
約束した。これが最後のプレゼント。喜んでくれるといいな。
嬉しいよもちろん
It takes every ounce of my willpower, but I manage to make my voice light and cheerful. In Saya's mind's eye, I know that I'm smiling. She won't have to see my face streaked with tears.
のり、私を愛してくれたあなたにこの星をあげます。
Saya's whisper is weak and pained, but there is ecstasy in her voice, ecstasy and joy. Her back suddenly shifts and then bulges outward.
この世界はきっと
This world
なるから
will be beautiful, she whispers in exultation.
さやと
A
海のり
world
の
just
ため
for
だ
us.
けの世界に
That's really fucking striking art there. Look at this. That's really incredible. Really great piece. And then Saya blooms. How else can I describe it? Flower petals, long and wide, they spread from her back like the wings of a newly formed butterfly. Their brilliant glow comes from the countless tiny scales that cover each petal like particles of light.
さよならなのか。
Is this goodbye? I ask her, careful to keep the sorrow out of my voice.
ううん違うこれは始まり
Saya's pain must have already left her, for her expression is infinitely peaceful and content.
私と海のりの世界の
Wow, that's just really good. I like that he's smiling too. It's very... doing everything he can to hold it together. This is really, really serene and nice. The radiant motes rise on the wind, painting rivers of light in the frozen winter sky. It is beautiful, overwhelmingly, painfully beautiful. Singing victoriously of their freedom, the shining seeds of life are released into this vast and fertile land. Their song heralds the coming of the new world and the destruction of the old. It is a boundless healing. It is an eternal blessing. We shall fill the world with our
こ
joy.
れからはずっと一緒だね。
Embracing Saya's pitifully shrunken body, I gaze into the shining sky and let my tears flow freely. Thank you. Thank you for this final gift, Saya. I'm actually kind of misty over that, and I don't know, like, man, like, I don't know why that hit the way that it did. Okay. That... Okay, just give me a second. Okay. We're composed now, we're composed. She was worried. At first, how long the preserved foods in the underground storeroom would last her, but now it seems that her fears were unfounded. It's the liquor she should have worried about. By savoring each drop of spiritus as though it were the last, she thought that she could make her flask hold out just a little longer, but she must have been consuming more each day than she realized. Who can blame her? There's no way that she could have gotten through this without the intoxicating effects of distilled alcohol. After Ryoko chased useless emotions like hope and despair from her mind, she found herself spending the most peaceful days of her life. As resignation set in, even hate and fear left her. Now she feels only awe that Ogai Masahiko did. Now she only feels awe for what Ogai Masahiko did and the respect for the depth of his intellectual curiosity. After all, she nor this world has any reason left to deny his research. Alone in the mountain cabin, Ryoko killed time by bringing order to the documents that Ogai had left behind. She took the scattered, enciphered papers and rewrote them in a more readable fashion, eliminating redundancies and adding indexes and tables of content. Ryoko did not intend for anyone to read them, of course. She knew full well how meaningless her actions were. With her reason to live gone, however, having something to devote her mind to was at least some relief. And now the last congratulatory drops of spiritus vodka burn their way down Ryoko's throat. All of Ogai's research lies before her in a single volume. She has finally finished transcribing and annotating the last of his writings. Enjoying the satisfaction of a pointless job well done, she idly pages through the manuscript that she just completed. I shall conclude by summarizing my theory as it currently stands. All right, let's get the lore. The life form that I named Saya did not appear in our universe by chance, nor even by a result of my summoning, but because of the instincts that were programmed directly into her biology. She was created to fulfill the same ultimate purpose that all life shares: reproduction. Yeah, she just came to, like, it's Lavos, basically, but hers is a more just like, I'm going to take this planet and turn it into a bunch of me's, and there's just like all of these, and there's like a whole fucking clan of these things out that are flying through space and propagating planets. So that's what's going on. And we just kind of happened upon, you know, the one that landed here. Saya and her kind procreate by spreading their seeds to other dimensions then. Okay. I thought it was more of an interplanetary thing, but yeah, it being more of a dimensions thing makes more sense. What is the probability that they will discover a doorway to another world? Even if they succeed in doing so, the chance of that world being suitable for reproduction must have been minute. In order to make the most of that scant possibility, evolution has granted them a certain advantage, none other than the astonishing ability that I have witnessed in Saya. To wit, they select the most prosperous life form that they can encounter, take control of it, and in doing so gain dominance over the planet's biosphere. In other words, they hijack the entire species. They do this by analyzing their target's genome, then overwriting its genetic code to remake it in their own image. Saya's biology is more than capable of inducing such dramatic and widespread mutation. There is a significant probability that the target species will have evolved into intelligent life. This element may be necessary to gaining control of the planet's environment. Therefore, Saya and her sisters also plunder the target's culture and psychology. Her extraordinary learning ability and intellectual curiosity are likely instinctive tools that enable her to inherit the target species' entire wealth of knowledge. In fact, it may be that Saya's kind has always had its sights set on intelligent life. Perhaps they wait patiently for some foolish extra-dimensional species to gain knowledge of other worlds and, in attempting to satisfy its curiosity, make contact with the outer universe in which they dwell. Rather than send Saya and her kin to their dimensional journeys with only luck and their own strength to depend on, would not waiting for such a contact greatly increase the chance of finding a world worthy of conquest? Just as I, having acquired the Silver Key, fancied myself an explorer of the unknown, how many intelligent life forms on other worlds have thoughtlessly congratulated themselves for discovering Saya's sisters? Taken by the sudden urge to go outside for a change, Ryoko gathers up the manuscript and heads to her car, which is parked in the front yard. She has completed her self-imposed final duty. There is no longer any reason for her to remain holed up in the mountain cabin. She drives a little further up the mountain to an open place that offers a scenic view of the land below. That's my phone! I'm gonna take a phone call. Hello? No. Okay. Okay. Alright, that works. Alright. Sure, bye. That's a weird one-sided conversation, isn't it? Just dumb work stuff. She drives a little further up the mountain to an open place that offers a scenic view of the land below. In the early days of the change, Ryoko often came to this spot to watch helplessly over the mutating city. The one flaw in my theory comes from none other than Saya herself. After using me to learn everything she could about humanity, Saya should finally have been prepared to begin the last stage of her invasion. However, she never carried out her mission. Why? I hypothesize that Saya was an irregular among her kind. It is said that the human race's intelligence has allowed us to conquer our natural instincts. Perhaps in absorbing the human psyche, Saya accidentally inherited the disease that infects our entire species. What is human love, really? What behavior could be more of a hindrance to the efficient propagation of a species? I am reminded of how, at the very end of her studies, Saya consumed vast quantities of romantic literature from all the world over. She tried to understand romance as an integral part of the human reproductive process. As a result, she might have unwittingly neutered her own unparalleled reproductive abilities. After all, she had not known love. She had come to this world to rule it in our place and had studied humanity to fulfill that purpose, but ultimately, she could not share love with a human. Without love's blessing, Saya was unable to find the passion to fill the world that was the world with her kind. In learning all that there was to know about humanity, she herself had become hopelessly human. Weary of loneliness, she despaired of the world. How pure her maiden soul must have been. If the hypothesis is correct, then it means that I have failed as her teacher. I cannot help but feel ashamed for having spoiled such an extraordinary organism. Saya. Next to a guy Masahiko, Ryoko now knows more about this entity than anyone else. No, when the young man named Sakisake Funamori is added to the running, perhaps she only comes in third. In the end, she never encountered the creature face to face. She would like to have met it once, though. If Ogai's analysis of Saya's psychology is correct, then it must have been Sakisaka who restored her desire to conquer the world. Perhaps Sakisaka's chief physician, Ryoko, had some role in bringing this lonely young man and Saya together, in which case, she could have at least have had the right to attend their wedding to end all weddings. She even might have charged them the matchmaker's fee. I have a dream that one day my daughter will know the blessings of love. I pray that there will come a day when her heart burns with the flames of passion and her world becomes bright and joyous once more. When that day comes, Saya, your terrible, irresistible purpose will surely consume us, that your progeny may flourish. The whole world will know your love and be reborn. Ah, what wonders the future holds. I deeply regret that I must end my life before I can see that day come, but the footsteps of those who would destroy my dream grow closer by the hour. If I seal my lips in death, then their grasping hands will not reach you. Please forgive me, my daughter, for leaving you alone in this barren world. With the knowledge that you now possess, I know that you will find your own path. The radiance of your hard-won soul shall light the road ahead. Have no fear, have no doubt. March onward until you reach your answer at last. And I, Saya, will dream forever of the world that you will create. Perhaps it is the isolated environment or the mountain air. Maybe she's just more resistant to the change. Whatever the case, Ryoko has not yet become as inhuman as the creatures wriggling through the city below. She does not know exactly how many people on this planet can still be called human. But she's one of what must be only a handful of survivors who are left to watch over the end of mankind. Of course, it's only a matter of time before she changes too. It has been 3 days since she chopped off her right hand, which had ceased to function as anything resembling a human hand. But the itching is spread across her entire back is growing more intolerable by the hour. She could look in a mirror and see what she was becoming, but she doubts that it would make her happy. Ryoko thinks that it would be best to just go to sleep here with the world spread out before her. When she awakens, perhaps she will be ready to descend the mountain and join the city's revelries, or maybe she won't even need such resolve anymore. Whatever the case, Ryoko thinks dreamily as she licks the very last drop from her flask. Even after I stop being human, I hope I'll still enjoy the taste of booze. Fuck, that was good! That was really fucking good! What an incredible ending! I am actually way sadder than I thought I would be about that. About, finding out, what Saya is and why she grew to be the way she was and why, everything makes total sense now. It's very twisted. It's very depraved. It's very maniacal. But it's very touching. It's like, I love oh, it feels really good, you know, like to have these kind of feelings for what could arguably be called a monster. And this game just revels in it in a way that, like, you don't think that at any point you will arrive at having these kinds of feelings for these characters. But yeah, like, that was handled so remarkably well. That's so absolutely fucking good. Like, I can't even imagine what, like, the other ending is going to be. I have no idea what the Call Ryoko route does. I know it's probably going to be a lot louder, and it's going to be a lot more shotgunny, that's for sure. But holy fuck, yeah, dude. Yeah, like, this ending was just like, this is the real deal. This was real good shit. Like, I'm just so thoroughly happy with how that ended up. Could not be happier. So yeah, that's gonna be obviously where we cut it for the day. But we will be back tomorrow to dig into the next route to see what other alternate ending can this crazy fucked up story possibly have. So as always, thanks for coming out, thanks for hanging out, thanks for watching. You have a nice rest of your whatever it is, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.